Oh.
It's a good.
Oh, boy.
Good reflex. I'm used to catching
That's why
bullets.
we have How many kids?
I think there's like 8 girls in her.
It's like how many kids at camp?
Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody wants to sign in to speak, that sign in is at the door right there. Just want to make sure you.
Well, it's also.
Sir, if either one of y'all needs to speak, make sure you step on
You are in favor
Thank you.
For sure, where else are you wearing?
So is that just for some animals? Public comment. If you don't want to see public comment, I can cut them off. These two are you
If you guys want to public comment,
That's all about that.
You pass that sheet down here, Debbie?
Anybody else that would like to sign up to speak during the public commenting period? All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 12:30 on June 30th, which is a forum. Welcome. Our first portion of the meeting will be dedicated to the 30-minute public comments. We'll start with Wendy Carmody. That's fine.
My name is Wendy Carmely, and I just want to say good afternoon and thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I want to take you back in time, in a time where things were so different, when we rode our bikes all day, when we played games, hopscotch, and when we horsed around with our friends, climbed trees, and we didn't have to go home until the streetlights came on. Things were just different, but yet the same in some ways. School was different. When we were younger, we went to school, we learned the basics, ABCs, 1, 2, 3. But we learned also a lot about friendships and having teacher-good relations, of having friendships that lasted a lifetime. I still have friends from grade school. And I feel that our children today need the same thing that we had when we were younger. When we were younger, there were Sunday dinners at Grandma's house every Sunday. When we were younger, our parents talked to us. Our parents were there. When we got home from school off the bus, Mom was there to give you a snack and ask you how your day went. Kids today are growing up way too fast. Way too fast. They're learning things that I didn't even learn about until I was in college. They are learning things at a rate that is intimidating to a child. A child should not have to worry about, what pronoun to use and who to talk to and who not to talk to. Our children today need to have a little bit of old-fashioned. Let's go back into a time where freedom was freedom and children could be children. Today, I think our kids are, well, too developed and too, I believe that they just learning things way too quickly. When I was younger and we would go to the library was our safe haven. We could go there and know that the librarians are watching over us. We could go there and pick out any book we wanted to, Peter Pan, whatever it was in your interest, for your interest. Today now we have to worry about what our kids and grandkids are coming home with. Are they coming home with a good book? Are they coming home with a book that's gonna fill them with certain knowledge? Or are they coming home with a book that has graphic details of things that, like I said, I didn't learn till I was even in college? And I just feel that our libraries, once again, should be a safe haven where a kid can go in and learn and take out books, all the books they want, and learn from them. If we don't learn from reading books and...
Wendy, I'm sorry your time's up, but thank you very much for your comment.
Thanks.
Lorraine Wertz? You can sit here if you like, that's fine.
Great. Obviously, you've seen me here before. And I'm not here to rehash the multitude of meetings concerning stickers on books, which I feel, contrary to this committee's belief, that it is a hell bait for parents. I think stickers are a slippery slope. History has shown that labeling leads to banning, and banning leads to burning, so honestly, I don't want those burnings in the street. I'm basically here to inform you that many of us in our community are watching what you are doing, and how sad it is that this committee has gotten so dang politicized. You are basically a reflection of the county commissioners who put you in these seats. And you are not the actual representatives that our municipalities recommended. Except for one county commissioner, we know how you lean, doing everything in your power to align with certain political objectives. Like I said, we're watching. My primary goal here today is to commend our amazing, highly educated, multitasking library personnel. People who come to work day after day and provide exemplary service to the people of Alamance County without the backing of a lot of the people in power above you. The programs and services provided by our library system are absolutely commendable. And I wanted to make the point to communicate to you, the library personnel, that how you serve the community is appreciated, and we are extremely supportive of you. It has been said that a truly great library contains something in it to offend everyone. Thank you for making Alamance County truly great.
Thank you. Peggy Boswell?
Hi, I'm Peggy Boswell, and I live in Mebane. I have worked in libraries for many years. When my family lived in Indiana, I worked at the Carmel Clay Public Library. And moving back to North Carolina, I worked for the Alamance Community College. I worked for the Graham Public Library. And I came to this library when I was a kid. Also went to the Bookmobile. And I just want to say that I believe that our staff at the library, here and in Mebane and Graham, Northrop, wherever, they're qualified to make decisions about stickers and whether or not they should be used and on what books. I feel like they have the credentials to determine this. They are educated, they have degrees in library science, and we should not be questioning or even attempting to discuss what their responsibility is. You have issues, you can certainly choose what books you want your children to read, but I feel like our staff at all these libraries are fully qualified to determine what gets censored, and hopefully nothing gets censored. Because everybody, like Lorraine said, has a problem with something in a library. Let's hope that the days that you were talking about, which I lived in the 50s and 60s, not all of it was good. There wasn't all freedom for everyone. We today have to live with the rights of all people, and we have to let library staff determine what's going to be put out in their libraries, in our libraries, and we should trust them because they were hired specifically for this job and not to be ruled by a committee that's less qualified. Thank you.
Thank you. Spencer Grayfield?
Hey y'all. Good afternoon, Library Committee. Good afternoon to all our community. Gather their voice, their opinions, defend what they believe is right and true. In short 3 minutes, I hope I can wisely approach the subject of stickering books. Make some observations and recommendations. My credentials regarding the subject, I'm a teacher, I'm a parent to young children, I've also been a youth pastor, and I'm educated. My understanding after carefully reading your guidelines, these labels, they do not prevent anyone from checking out books based on their age, right? That's correct?
Right.
Whose phone?
And you wouldn't want to limit access to books, is that wrong? We can agree on that, right?
Right.
Cool, thank you. So the main books I observed from this list include lifestyles that represent a minority within our population. As a white man in my 30s, I have no personal concept of what it feels to be considered a minority. I've instead read books with voices different from my own to try and understand this. I've worked to gain the knowledge of what that experience of being a minority is like in our world so that I can empathize with those different from myself. Being an adolescent is harsh and difficult. As a middle schooler, I learned to process feelings by reading books, finding stories of protagonists that felt how I felt was a gift. It was also easy. Library at school here at Maine Memorial filled with books about people just like me. As I look at this short list, many of which cover information or stories in reference to gender or orientation, I think about what a blessing these must be to parents and young people, trying to understand why they feel different from most of the people around them. Then I think about an arbitrary PG label being placed on these books. So, as if it's hard enough to grow up, we're going to label books that a young person might be reading to better understand themselves as being different too. And the welfare of young people is the point of this exercise. I'm afraid you may be causing more damage to the more vulnerable members of this young population. Sends a signal that they are indeed different or wrong, rather than accepted or understood. Although, in counterpoint to the argument, I have brought a record with me. Are we familiar with the sticker in the corner? Parental advisory, explicit content. In the 80s, this was introduced by a group of mothers who had well-meaning to push labels on inappropriate music. The labels operated in a similar way to these book labels. Didn't prevent anyone from buying it, meant to be merely informative. It actually had a pretty good response in young people, knowing what they wanted to buy when they went to the record store. Kind of backfired, because it drew their attention. The forbidden fruit, if you might. It didn't stop or prevent them from listening or buying what they wanted to. In many instances, it became the copy you'd reach for when you went to a record store. It's a likelihood that you may actually just be drawing attention to these books, rather than letting them sit on the shelf where most children would bypass them anyway. Besides that, if parents actively invested in a child, the media they're ingesting, they likely don't need a book label anyway. If a parent's not invested, the label wouldn't matter as it is. Their child likely has an unsupervised internet access to their phone or tablet anyway. Why are we concerned about small adult books when clearly we have much larger hurdles to focus on? I just have one short paragraph, and I know I'm the last person on that list,
No,
right?
there's one after you. It's a really fast one. Thank you very much. Emily Conway?
3
Hi.
hours for 3 minutes.
I don't agree with the existence of this policy, but it does contain clearly stated guidelines and criteria. This committee drafted them, voted on them, and approved them. At the previous special session, members of this committee made it very clear you have no intention of being bound by the guidelines that you wrote and you approved and you voted for. But instead are planning to utterly ignore them as you voice your objections to various books. It's on video. This committee is reviewing decisions that have already been made by a wonderfully talented, well-trained, and very dedicated library staff. This is a waste of time. I believe the library should be a safe haven for all kids, not just the ones who agree with conservative Republicans. Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to the books. I think, did everybody have a chance to go look at them? Great. All right, let's start with you two. I'm sorry, I got something on top. Tegan and Sarah. Junior. All right. Tegan and Sarah Junior High. Okay, I would vote yes on this book for bullying and violence, which isn't a policy.
Does anybody have anything that they would like to share about, junior high, Tegan and Sarah?
About which one? I thought we were on YouTube.
Sorry.
The
The
change
change
it,
it,
that's
change
how
it.
they're on
So the junior high,
Tegan and Sarah.
I didn't see anything there. I mean, there was one mention of alcohol, which is one of our indicators. And she turned it down at the party, I thought, you know, okay. So I really didn't see anything in that book, that would warrant a sticker, based on our guidelines.
Any other thoughts on that? Okay, we'll go ahead and
On
call.
page, well, I have some, on page 46, there was voyeurism, page 101 was, someone watching porn, page 272, there were, bullying of, gays, 238, there was, a gay middle schooler or discussion of that. So,
Well, I know, and bullying is not one of our guidelines.
Violence is, that's what I based mine on, it's just violence. There were several books that had kind of ruthless bullying, toward the protagonist of the story. So okay, we can go ahead and vote. I would say yes. Raise your hand if you're in favor of the vote.
yes is, you want the sticker is yes, you do not want the sticker is no. If you would raise your hand so we can get the count. Yes? Okay, so that's 3 yeses. No's? And that's 3 no's. Awesome.
Next one, Lucy Lancaster has a secret. This book was mostly dealt with witchcraft, which is not included in our policies, I don't know on that. Paul, can you turn your phone off?
Just turn it off.
Yeah.
You know, you did stop.
Maybe I have a different view, but to me, I put witchcraft under self-harm, potential self-harm.
There's that one going on.
Like witchcraft under self-harm or potential self-harm.
Shirley?
this book had not only witchcraft and spells, but talks about her becoming a witch and, doing her first spell. As a parent, I think it's important to know what you're getting. The title Lucy Lancaster doesn't really tell you what you're getting, so. Lucy Lancaster has a secret, doesn't really tell you what she is. So, and it's it's junior fiction, but it's also full of pictures, so it's designed for a young reader. For someone who is an early reader, as a parent, I would want to know.
Other thoughts?
I just don't think it fits our eligible indicators, so.
Okay, all those in favor, you can raise your hands, yes, or if you are in favor of the policy? And opposed?
Paula, did you, I'm sorry, I didn't catch which one you voted for. Yes or no?
I wanna vote for the sticker.
Which graph?
I thought you were just on it.
It's the Harry Potter ones. You can't talk about it, you have that.
It's there, it is.
So what was the total?
It's 3 and 3. Sure.
What do we do about ties?
What happened if it's three, if it's checking it out, three and three?
I don't think we're
You
gonna.
listen to your library?
Yeah, sure. It's, here, what the,
Can y'all tell me what happens if it's incomplete?
We are, it's a no for, we're not passing it. Okay. Occulted. Okay, suicidal discussions, self-harm, injury, and talk. So I would be definitely in favor of labeling this.
I would be in favor, I'm looking for my notes, but yes.
Have a comment? There are depictions of psychological abuse in the book, child isolation, child intense manipulation, chain smoking with a cult leader who mistreats children. The references, there are several references to real world news reports in 1997 about the Heaven's Gate mass suicide in California. My opinion is this meets the criteria.
Thoughts from?
I would agree, there's news reports on mass suicide. It depicts a young girl committing suicide by jumping out of a window, and that was even in the drawing, so. Yeah, I agree.
And child abuse.
Any other thoughts?
I agree.
All right, those in favor, raise your hand. Other boys? Found this book to contain violence, self-harm, bullying, and profanity, including the use of the word fag. So I would say that yes, I would vote for this to have a label.
I guess, yeah, for me, the bullying is in our indicators. Maybe it should be, that's another subject for another day, but, I mean, name calling, I mean, that happens all the time, so I would disagree.
I'm with you for the sticker.
In my notes, I put for other boys, explicit same sex, which that is
Not-
explicit sexual content.
I didn't see anything explicit, but other than boys dancing with other boys, he realized he was gay, he told his grandmother he was gay. You know, at one point he did wonder what it would be like to die, but,
Because of his bullying, right, because he was being picked at.
yeah, well, I don't know if it was that or something else, but.
Other thoughts? I would vote yes if you raise your hand if you're in favor. And opposed? You two. I thought this book contained intense and important subject matter, and most of the book's message is about reporting sexual assault or sexual abuse to a parent or trusted adult, and so the sticker's in line with that message, and I would vote yes.
The reason I would vote yes is because it, from beginning to end, had stories about, varying degrees of graphicness, but, rape of a 7-year-old was on page 92, rape, male rape, threesome male rape was on page 133, and U2 is about sexual assault stories, so I thought it was graphic.
What I didn't like about the book was that it was young girls and getting sexually abused by older men, and then saying in the picture or in the description that the girl said, well, it was my fault that the guy did it to me. And that's, you know, I don't want young girls to think that they're at fault when somebody sexually abuses them.
I would agree, and that was on page 19, where an adult male, basically abused, raped a young female child. So, and it was, a lot of the book was very explicit, you know, about the assault on the playground where a little girl was basically raped by, and, made to feel like it was her fault. So, yeah, I would be in agreement on this one.
Other thoughts?
On the,
Can I ask, what is the
Promotion,
reading
excuse me.
value of that book? Is it
excuse me,
substantial?
sir. I was gonna
Yeah,
talk.
The public comment period's over at the beginning.
It wasn't just a question.
The content on the publisher's website mentions a content warning for sexual assault, rape, incest, and exploitation.
All right, I would vote yes. If you're in favor of yes, raise your hand. Melissa? I think this is a poorly written book, but we do not have gender identity listed in our policy, so I would vote no.
I would agree, there's nothing in here that is graphic, or nothing that I saw that was graphic, explicit. No self-harm, suicide, or any strong language or substance abuse, so.
Yeah, I agree with this, that was okay.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I was just looking, according to the review, there were lots of sexually explicit pages listed. This book in particular, the interviewer said that Tina had been born a boy and asked her whether she had the surgery. The woman replied that she was a transgender woman and that what she had between her legs was nobody's business but hers and her boyfriend's. So that gives you an idea about the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 instances in the book of graphic sexuality for a junior fiction book. So
I looked through a lot of it, and I understand what you're saying, but I just don't think that this, the context in which it's listed is was pertaining to witchcraft, which is not included in our policy. In our program.
I'll go again, it's not physical self-harm, but I still think it's self-harm.
Well, the reason that I felt that this book was harmful, I have written down that it includes hexes, curses, potions, a summary of the dead, spells, talking to the dead, and although that, there is an other, I mean, it's not explicit, but in the form that you fill out, there is graphic violence, explicit sexual content or references, substance use, self-harm or suicide themes, profanity or strong language, or other, please specify. And, there's two kinds of spirits. There's holy spirits and there's evil spirits. There are good books in the library, Witch of Blackbird Pond, Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, and those have themes that have the good versus evil. Those have redeeming qualities. This book, I did not find had any positivity. There was no good to it. It was a very negative, and I think for the people who attend the 200 plus churches in Alamance County, I think they would find this to be objectionable. So for me,
Not all.
No.
It's in the standards. It's
We're
not-
trying to
You guys
go
be
here, so
told.
we can actually clear the room and everybody can go home, so, yeah, it's fine. Thanks. Yeah, so the form and the policy are different. I'm glad we have other on the policy so that people can dictate their woes, but the policy does not list other graphic violence, explicit sexual content or references, substance use, self-harm or suicidal themes, and profanity or strong language. And the title of it is pretty clear here. Spell, a guide to spells, potions, and hexes for the aspiring Salem witch. It's not as innocuous as, say, Melissa or YouTube, like that, I would say.
Is that the Disney one?
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah,
scared.
Thank you.
And y'all come on now, everybody has a right to feel the way they want to feel. You guys say this all the time, but you're laughing at someone's feelings. So you're being very hypocritical here, I'm just gonna point that out.
So we can
No,
go
it's
ahead.
not your job.
No, it's her job.
We can go ahead.
I'll put that out the window in a minute. Anybody know how to turn off a Android phone? Cause I don't. Would you?
I can turn it on.
You should just get her.
She did.
The power button down and hold it down.
All right, we can do the vote while he's fixing the vote. All in favor of the sticker for Hocus Pocus, raise your hand. And opposed.
Are you opposed? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. I had to save my sanity.
It feels good to be yourself.
Which one?
It feels good to be yourself. Yeah, I found this to cover explicitly gender identity, which is listed on the cover. The subtitle is a book about gender identity, and I will look at it in the policy.
I agree.
Other thoughts? Go ahead and take the vote. In favor, raise your hand if you're in favor. And raise your hand if you're opposed. You're abstaining, Tim?
Yeah, I'm looking at the, yeah, I guess I'd ask, it's based on the criteria, this
Reviews describe underage drinking, particularly in one notable scene, the protagonist drinks a shot of unknown alcoholic beverage, acts visibly drunk, and then passes out. And I think that meets the criteria, one of the criteria.
Substance use.
Unknown alcoholic beverage.
Other thoughts? Okay. All right, those in favor? Opposed?
That one wasn't on my list, so I'm gonna stay out of that.
No.
I missed that.
The Girls Guide to Relationship, Sexuality, and Consent. This book includes a parent's note. Throughout the book, readers are encouraged to have open and honest communication with trusted adults. Say less, I would vote yes for that.
I do wanna just say one thing about this book. I actually thought it was a really
Me
good
too.
book and really well written.
Me too.
You know, I don't know, I mean, maybe a parent would want to go through it with them, but, it's an excellent book. I just thought it was very well written.
Does recommend in the front that you,
It does.
the very first, that you, to parents, caregivers, and compassionate adults who have chosen this book for their teens. So the intent of the author is that it is not read without an adult. It talks about asking for consent, STI, dental dams, morning after pills. These are things that adults. That is.
Tim, Debbie? Is it all of your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that you have a sticker.
All in favor, raise your hand if you're yes. And if you're no. Is this normal? That's the next one. Again, this book is a note discussing follow-up with trusted adults and tips for talking with parents. And the audience includes letters from 8-year-old girls, so definitely good for parental guidance, suggested label in my opinion, as well as nudity, so I would say yes.
Where was the nudity in this one? I must have missed that.
Page 43.
43, has it?
Which,
Other thoughts? You can say something. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a yes. You be you. Then there's a dear parents, guardians, and educators note, and it includes nudity, so I would vote yes.
The promotion website also has a content warning for sexual assault, rape, incest, and exploitation.
There's graphic pictures.
yeah, I don't need to see those again. Those I saw.
thoughts? Comments, suggestions? There are 29 references to gender identity and homosexuality.
It's not one of our indicators.
No, but sexuality is. Explicit sexual content or references. And for junior fiction, is age, right, this. It doesn't.
All in favor? And all opposed?
That was the last title, that's under discussion, just to review the decisions. Tegan and Sarah Junior High will not receive the sticker. Lucy Lancaster has a secret, will not receive a sticker. Occulted will receive a sticker. The Prince and the Dressmaker will receive a sticker. Girls Guide to Relationships, Sexuality and Consent will receive a sticker. Is This Normal will receive a sticker. UBU will receive a sticker. Alice Austin Lives Here will not receive a sticker. Sorry, lost my place. Other Boys will receive a sticker. U2 will receive a sticker. Melissa will not receive a sticker. Disney's Hocus Pocus Spellbook will not receive a sticker, and It Feels Good to Be Yourself will not receive a sticker.
There is nothing else on our agenda. We completed our task for today. Our next meeting is August 11th here in City Space, 12:30, and we will be adjourned. Thank you.
Oh,